truth, Ron. Okay, so Ron, one more time. Gerlach.
Gerlach, like hair with a G, Gerlach, but
Okay.
close enough for government work.
All right. Well, let's get to know Ron. Welcome to the club. Welcome to your time to shine here.
Okay. Well, great. That's good to be with everybody. So I'll just do it chronologically. I was raised in a small town of 350 people called Andrew in eastern Iowa. It's about 12 miles from where Iowa kind of noses out, or 30 miles south of Dubuque. It had three churches, two bars, one hardware/grocery store, and zero stoplights. It had a two-story school building, which I went to. Kindergarten through sixth were on the first floor, and 7th through 12th were on the second floor. I did all the sports that they offered, which you kind of had to, given the size of the school. So baseball, basketball, track. Had no football team. They had a concert band, but no marching band. My dad worked in a factory for Caterpillar in Davenport, and mom was an assistant to the principal at school. I had an uncle that owned a farm, and so I had a chance to do all the classic farm types of things like baling hay and milking cows. After high school, I wanted to go to a larger college. I wanted to stay in state, so I went to the University of Iowa. Always loved the Hawkeyes. They had a great business school, and I majored in accounting. I joined a fraternity my sophomore year, Delta Tau Delta, for any Greeks in this group. And other than just partying, which, you get with any fraternity, this fraternity was sort of connected in the university. So Herky the Hawk, the mascot, was always done by a Delt back then. I never did that, but the other benefit was once a year they had a Pro-Am golf tournament in Iowa City called the Amana VIP Classic. And in 1983, I was paired with Tom Watson. So I was Tom's caddy. He had won the British Open the year before, and a heck of a nice guy. He only asked me to give him whatever club he wanted, didn't ask me for distances or anything, which was obviously smart in his part, but that was a really great experience. The other thing that happened at Iowa, other than graduating, is I met this girl at a charity fraternity sorority softball game. Found out we had a class together, and that girl became my wife, Joanne. I love Dave Schultz's story about how he met his wife. The interesting thing I think about Joanne and I is she grew up in Lake Forest. And so if you compare growing up in Lake Forest to what I'm describing the way I grew up in that small town, you couldn't have any two different childhoods. An interesting story where this all came together is she was driving me back home, which was on the way back to Chicago for her when we just started dating. And my parents insisted that she stay at our house that night. And so my mom always gets up early in the morning. And so Joanne got up and I was still sleeping. And apparently she said to my mom, "Phyllis, why are you banging on the cupboard doors?" And she goes, "Well, Joanne, I wasn't banging on the cupboard doors. Those are the sows down the street banging their heads on the feeders where they go in and put their noses in to feed grain." So that was the Lake Forest girls' introduction into the farming life a little bit. After Iowa, I wanted to get into public accounting. And so I interviewed in Minneapolis in January, which is too cold. And Chicago was too big, so I ended up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin with Arthur Anderson, which is no longer with us due to Enron, but enjoyed it. Joanne came up the second year I was there because we got married. But after a few years in public accounting, for any accountants in this group, you get kind of tired of auditing. I wanted to support a live business. And so we decided to get down to Chicago where Joanne's parents were. And I got a job downtown. We bought a home in Gurnee, took the train every day, and I went into the University of Chicago's MBA school at that same time, which you could just walk up the street on Michigan Avenue to Delaware and take classes at night. So a lot of long nights. slept through the stopping in Waukegan, ended up in Kenosha a few times, had to take the taxi back. Thankfully, the commuter line stops in Kenosha, but a lot going on those days. After a few years, that company started downsizing and wanted to get with a company that was growing. Always liked Abbott, and they were in healthcare, which is great, and had a great financial company. So got on with Abbott, thankfully. Reload with Abbott a couple times. We lived in San Jose, California, a couple of years, lived in Salt Lake City. It was great. Kids were small. We would go out every weekend and go to the national and state parks. After a few years, came back to Chicago. Worked in the Japanese joint venture for Abbott, international division, traveled around the world. My last job with Abbott, or really AbbVie then, the pharmaceutical company, was vice president of financial planning, which then I retired last October with AbbVie. I have 2 kids. So my son, his wife, and 2 grandkids live 4 blocks away here in Vernon Hills, which is nice. For hobbies, we like to go to concerts like Shannon, just no photography skills, like to travel, like a lot of you do. Hope to travel with Rotary here as we go forward. And my big thing now, though, I do road biking. So when the weather's decent in the weekends, I bike with some guys. Taking some trips, I biked across Iowa, across Oregon, around Nova Scotia, and also Banff, Canada. Biked a couple years ago, 6,000 feet in the mountains. Did an 8-mile downhill, which was quite, exhilarating. But those are the things I like to do. And again, really glad to be with the club. And that's it.
For real?
That's it.
Well, I'm sure you left us plenty of time first. Let's bombard them with questions, everyone. I'm going to lead off. I stepped out for 1 second. How did you come to Rotary, Ron? Like what?
Well, so good friends of ours who are now in Indianapolis, they have been in Rotary for some time, and they highly recommended it. I wanted to get involved with some organizations that did good work. They really enjoyed their Rotary experience. And so to be honest with you, I just literally went online and I researched Rotary clubs the best I could around the area. And I was attracted to the things that you do in the Arlington Heights Club. And that's how I got connected with you guys. So glad I'm here.
Glad to have you.
Hey, Ron, it's John Kent. Thanks for the great presentation. I'm kind of new to the club, and I did the same thing. I was looking around for a club, and I picked Arlington Heights for all the great things they do. Question about international traveling. Did you try to learn any of the languages of the places you went? And if you did you use like Duolingo or Berlitz, or how did you do that?
To be honest with you, I never really did. I'm German. I know a little bit of German. Kind of a funny story about that is, I have with my last name, and maybe I'm not unique, but I've always in public places like say, Ron Gerlach, and I always spell my last name like when I'm checking into an airport or checking into a hotel. So I'm checking into a hotel in Ludwigshafen, Germany. And when I first started traveling, and I go, Guten Tag, Ron Gerlach for checking in, GER. This lady put out her hand. She goes, "Oh, Mr. Gerlach, you do not need to spell. You are German." So it was funny. I felt, wow, I am home. But the only other thing I know, a couple words, I've been in Japan quite a bit, so I know kampai and, some things of that nature. But no, not really. I wish I did, because when I travel, to your point, John, everybody else knows at least 2 languages. And I personally, as an American, feel kind of dumb that I don't. But you kind of get a pass because everyone else knows English, except in Japan, not everyone speaks it. But anyway.
So Ron, your bike ride, this is Terry Ennis, your bike ride around Iowa, was that the right call?
Yeah, we went with some guys, and having grown up in Iowa, you go through all those small towns,
Uh-huh.
and to me, Iowa's kind of home, and for me, it's what I'm used to. And I will say the guys around the Chicago area that I bike with were just blown away at how nice people are in Iowa. I mean, I'm kind of biased because I'm an Iowan, but people would say, "Hey, you want to take a shower? We're not going to be home, but you just go and you use our shower, but we're going to be out that night." Leave their houses open. And you just go take a shower, whatever. That's Iowa.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
You did the whole thing, I take it.
Yeah, I did, from, I think it was Sioux City to Clinton. But yeah, it's about 70 miles some days, other days not so much. But that was the year. It was the hottest year ever, 2012. It was 105 degrees Monday through Wednesday. Very nasty. I mean, we started very early in the day. I've never done it again because I'm still shell shocked from that year. It was so hot. It was so hot. Yeah, no, thanks for asking.
Yeah, great ride.
Hey, Ron, how about a little bragging rights about the kids?
Oh, well, so my eldest is a environmental engineer for Jacobs Engineering in the Chicago area here. His wife does social work for Avenues to Independence, helping people with Down syndrome. I have a 2.5-year-old grandson, Silas, and a 9-month-old grandson, Miles. Every grandparent thinks their grandkids are the greatest things in the world, obviously. And my daughter in Des Moines, she actually does kitchen and bath design. She's very creative like her mom, does really well at it. It's her forte. So anyway, those are the kids.
Was one of the grandchildren named Miles? Any testimony to Abbott by any chance?
No. I'm sorry, I don't let, Miles is gone now, but let's just say I wouldn't want my grandkid to be like Miles, because I know Miles, and he was good at what he did. He was very good at what he did. But no, this is the opposite of Miles White. But yeah, no, Miles with smiles, we call him, because he's a very happy kid.
So you're a Cyclones fan then?
Oh no, that's the evil other. Okay, you knew that. You knew that. I hope. So yeah, Iowa State. That's the evil empire. I have a lot of good friends though that went there. It's a great ag school. It's just it's always a clash every year when they play together. It's that's the big rivalry. There's no pro sports in Iowa, so I mean, what else are you going to do? Watch corn grow and watch college football. So that's all you can do.
Both my daughters went to Iowa. One went to University of Iowa. One went to Iowa State. So
well, you got it straddled.
I had it straddled. They actually took 2 football jerseys, cut them down the middle, and sewed them together so that we would have the front and back of the football teams.
Do they trash talk each year, like when they play each other and stuff?
Actually, not so much. My oldest daughter is a football fan. The youngest one is not that big into sports. She actually was in the School of Fashion there at Iowa State. So,
wow.
And that's where she progressed with her career.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, those are 2 good schools. I hate to say that about Iowa State, but it is a good school. It pains me to say that.
All right, any other questions for Ron? All right, so I do have one last one, Ron. It's a yes or no answer. You don't have to give us any detail. My girlfriend went to Iowa State. Her sister went to Iowa. I'm going to ask you the same thing I asked her on our first date. Have you ever tipped a cow?
Yeah, I hate to say this, but the answer is it's a great folk story. It doesn't really exist, but it's a great folk story. No.
It's not the answer I got from her, but I'll take yours.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Ron. We're glad to have you with the club. I mean, it's when someone reaches out to us, express interest in coming to a meeting and basically submits their application a week or 2 later, makes our job easier, and usually means it's a member who really is excited about joining us. So glad to have you.